Well, this is Bases News Fast Blast on a conference and 3 books. Okay, the most important thing happening at the end of August is UFO Academy are putting on the Awake and Aware conference, which features Kerry Cassidy. Kerry Cassidy will be having Michelle Young, myself, that's Miles Johnson, Simon Parks, the beautiful Maria Wheatley, Kerry herself, of course, yeah, I think I've already said that, Philip Kinsella, and the beautiful Andrea Fawkes will be there, speaking on the 31st of August at High Elms Manor, the UFO Academy, High Elms Manor, near Watford. And that is also on the 31st, Saturday the 31st of August, and Sunday the 1st of September. And that will be 65 quid for both days, and I think it's 35 quid per day. Now, I also hope to be interviewing a lady called Lorraine McAdams, and Lorraine has published a book, My Life, Phantoms in the Night. Here it is. And that is Phantoms in the Night, or ETs. It's interesting now that more and more of the UFO type related books and concepts are dealing with non-humans or aliens, ETs. There seems to be a lot of bleed over now between sort of terrestrial other beings or non-humans and the so-called ETs. Phantoms in the Night, or ETs, My Lifelong Experience or Contact with the Paranormal. Lorraine McAdams, published on sixth-books.com. That's number 6. The number 6-books.com. Phantoms in the Night, or are the ETs. And I hope to be interviewing her. She'll be attending. She's actually from the Northwest, and she knows Mike Oram and a lot of her earlier experiences over her life. She liaised with Mike, who's up there in the Lake District. The late Robert Duncan. This is his book. This is the book that he published. I didn't realize it was quite some time ago. It published in 2014. His first book is British Telecom had this project called Project Soul Catcher. So what Duncan did was he published a book which is Project Soul Catcher Part 2, the second one. And that was to do with his work on the capture of humanity's soul and basic essence with nanobots and all other sorts of things. And he was able to release a whole lot of information about the NSA and how they were monitoring everything through servers and the fundamental rerouting of all server traffic through the internet switches, these switches which switch everything between computers. Those were always sending a second version of your data to an NSA server. Dr. Robert Duncan came to the Bases 2015 conference in the St. John's School in the summer of 2015, and he delivered 2 presentations there, and I've reloaded that onto the Bases Project Censored YouTube site, where we're having a lot of problems there. We did an interview with Karen MacDonald only a couple of weeks ago, only to have a strike hit on the channel. That was later rescinded within about 48 hours. But it's just so difficult to know whether you can actually put anything on YouTube these days. And in a 1 hour or 1.5 hour conversation, you may say something, and that's enough to get a strike. And then, of course, you lose your channel. And for that reason, everything is now going onto basestv.com. And the sister website is basestv.org. And that is telling you about basestv.com. We're loading all our stuff onto basestv.com, and that is where you're going to find the long form interviews. Maybe I'll put parts of an interview or a section of an interview. For instance, Bob Osborne did a 1 hour chat with me, and I used the bit about Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon was the son of Queen Elizabeth I, and there were potentially 2 other sons that Queen Elizabeth I had, and that Francis Bacon then wrote the Shakespeare plays, and they're heavily encrypted, And a really important thing that you should get across is Shakespeare plays written by Francis Bacon, not by a guy called Shakespeare. And there's a whole lot of information on that, and you can join the Francis Bacon Society if you want to find out more about that. And I did a lot of video for them over the last few years. Anyway, Robert Duncan, it's really sad, this book. So another good person has gone. Another thing that's happened is that we've had Sky High Creations, and that's the wonderful Dutch crew. At the end of July, it's usually the last Wednesday of July after the Glastonbury Symposium, and they did a conference, an evening conference, and the ashes of the late Janet Ossebaard were then buried later on in a private ceremony in Wiltshire somewhere. And it's another really good passing of a really good lady. She did the Fall of the Cabal DVDs, and they had only got about halfway through the ones that they wanted to do with her colleague, a German colleague. I don't know whether that's going to continue, but Janet Ossebaard took her own life from external inducement in November last year. She wasn't found until Christmas last year. It took a month for Bert Janssen to finally find her, and it's a great loss, and with extreme sadness we say goodbye to Janet Ossebaard. On a happy note, okay, another new book on a happy note. This is absolutely fantastic. John L Walson has written this book, his first major book. This is a large format book full of pictures, absolutely packed full of pictures of the spacecraft and how you are able to do that, right? The focus of this book is fast, far above space and time. And it's written it's co-written, or probably actually written, by John L. Wilkie. And here's a connection with Star Wars and the back production of stuff on Star Wars. Now, this is how you do the photography. These are some of the pictures that John has got. Now, the focus of book one, this is book one. It's only about 13 quid, only about 13 and 14 quid plus postage. And it's the 25th anniversary commemorative edition of the unprecedented adventures of John Leonard Walson. Now, on the acknowledgements here, there's some minor celebrities involved here. You got Sir Elton John. Another minor, very minor celebrity is some guy called Ben Emlyn Jones. And in the same list, you've got somebody called King Charles III and some other person called Queen Elizabeth II in the acknowledgements in memorial. So this is a major book. It's how you modify the relevant Celestron or whatever telescopes you've got so you can make video and photographs of these huge craft up in space. This is something like what we're dealing with. Now, the point about this is a submarine. Now, remember, Tomlinson explained how they were using submarine pressure hulls to fly in space. That's very important. So this is basically what this is. It's a submarine with equipment to fly in the sea of space. Okay? And that is what we're talking about. Get this book, part 1 of 20. Part 1 explains how you modify your telescopes so you can get the pictures that he has been taking for about the last 15, if not 20 years. And maybe 25 years, because it's the 25th anniversary. John L. Walson is, this is another exceptional picture. You see that? And this one. So that's just out. That's very exciting. Duncan Davis is part of the team, the background team. There is also news on James Casbolt. James Casbolt has surfaced in Cornwall. He had been standing as a local councillor in the election for local councils on the 22nd of August. He has published a leaflet for the local Cornish party, which starts with an M and has a K, MK. Now, he's been photographed with one of the gentlemen from that party, and there's 2 pictures of him on his election leaflet. That has now been withdrawn. His address was published in the relevant literature to inform people as to how they could make contact with any of the candidates. He's now pulled out from that because his mother said that he didn't want any publicity. However, if you are going to actually stand for an election, you somehow have to be public about it. So there's a lot of controversy over James. He has now paid his debt to society. He has surfaced here in Cornwall on the 3rd week or the 2nd week of August with this publicity on his election. And now that has been withdrawn. So that's the update on James. It's also the most important thing is this book. This really is, if you are an astronomer and you have any kind of knowledge of optics and video, and you want to get pictures of these craft in space, submarine hulls in space, reference Mr. Tomlinson, who was taken out because he said a little bit more than they wanted him to say. And this is the back of the book, and you may want to study that Union Jack very carefully. John Walson's up there, just there. Anyway, that's it. That's a fast blast for the 3rd week of August 2024. A lot of exciting things happening. I have also just returned a few weeks ago from Tampa, and I did a fast blast on that. Also the crop circle that we went to here, just up the road here in Etchelhampton. And it was wonderful to experience that as well. So that's it for now.